Well, good evening, everyone. I don't have a gag. Good evening. Yeah, I know. No. Yeah. Thank you. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm really excited today to have our, biannual joint meeting with the Revenue Enhancement Oversight Committee and the City Council. This is a really exciting time for us to hear from the whole community opinions and interests for the budget and for the major city goals and priorities. So I'm really excited to have you all here today. I'm also very thankful for staff to be here after hours and being at their stations to tell you a little bit more about what's actually happening. Sometimes people don't know all the plans, so I'm excited you get to hear from the staff what's happening so far, but also you can ask questions and ask, hey, could we do X or could we do Y? And really finding out a little bit more about what's possible and what's possible right now. Also what it would take to do something a little bit different going forward. So as we talk about these next 2 years, I'm really happy that we have a very strong budget and we have been very diligent with our money. At the same time, in the next 2 to 4 years, we are forecasting a little bit of a deficit. So we want to be dreamy today, but also realistic. Is that what are those priorities and how we pare it back down will be happening in about April with the draft budget and then in June when we finalize that. At the end of this meeting today, we're going to have some communication. We'll have the REOC, Revenue Enhancement Oversight Committee, and then we will have a time to chat with the staff, and we'll come back for public comment. So if you have not had a chance to fill out one of these yellow slips, yellow speaker cards that is interested in doing a public comment, providing a public comment, then you'll bring it up here to our lovely city clerk who is so kind to gather them together and have it ready. So when we're ready for the public comment, we can do that together. Now I would like to go ahead and introduce the city manager, Whitney McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and our entire City Council. Thank you to our Revenue Enhancement Oversight Commission members as well for being here tonight. Pull this a little closer. I'll share just a few kind of opening remarks, then we'll hear a little bit from our finance director, kind of giving us an overview of the budget process and where we're at, and then kind of release everybody to go to stations and learn more about the work that you see lots of signs up on the walls, ask questions, talk with our staff, and then kind of reconvene as the mayor mentioned. It's really exciting to see all these people here. The fact that we have so many members of our community who are interested in being a part of this process. I know you love San Luis Obispo, and the fact that you're here really shows that. Also being a part of a budget process in and of itself, I think, as our finance director may mention or joke, numbers and budgeting maybe not, doesn't sound as exciting to some people as it does to perhaps a few of us over here, but you all see the value of it by just being here. It is one of the most important things that our city council does is pass a budget because it sets out the plan for how we're going to do the work of serving the community every day. Without the funding, we wouldn't be able to do that. So having you be a part of this process, being really embedded into the decisions that we make in terms of what we present to council, how they consider it, and then what ultimately gets adopted as this plan. You being a part of this is really important and a testament to the values of our community and our organization and our council. So our kind of cultural practice of doing this every 2 years as well, I think continues that. So thank you. Just wanted to say thank you for being here, and thank you for your contributions as we go through the evening. Again, wanted to thank you to our REOC members as well. They help oversee the use of Measure G funding that came about in 2020 when you all helped pass an increase in our sales tax. That has been instrumental in our ability to make investments in the community, to make investments in our capital, to make investments in our people, to do the service that is needed in the day-to-day out on the street and inside, really making the city function. So thank you for having that commitment and trust in us in carrying out the work that you've given to us as well in through that funding. It's incredibly important, and I just want to say thank you. Just as a reminder of what that measure entailed, it identified a number of things and essentially a guidepost for the major areas where we would spend that funding. It really, and I'll just kind of list those to sort of remind everyone where we're at. Financial stability, which of course is a major goal and something we prioritize every day. Maintaining fire and community safety, health emergency and disaster preparedness, protecting creeks from pollution, addressing homelessness, keeping public areas clean and safe, retaining local businesses, maintaining youth and senior services, streets, open space, natural areas, and other general services. So that really helps guide the use of that additional sales tax funding that you all in the community entrusted to us. And so that's a part of our planning that we do really every year, and especially every 2 years as part of this budget process. So as the mayor mentioned, as we develop this next budget cycle, we are keeping very fresh in our minds some of the economic headwinds that we'll be facing as a community. We're not alone in those. Many others in our region, in the state, and in the country are facing some similar financial constraints, and our finance director will go over a few more details about what those look like for us. At the same time, we have made a number of commitments that we need to continue carrying out. That includes commitments to new capital projects, as well as maintaining our existing infrastructure and continuing to complete projects that are underway. So examples of that would include our Cultural Arts District parking structure. We are planning as well for a 5th fire station. We're planning for a new community park at Rigetti Ranch. We have a number of active transportation projects that are a number of them well underway in the planning, and some of them being implemented or having been completed. And of course, we have a couple of really large projects that we're continuing to work on, which are the Prado Bridge widening and Prado overpass. And those are just a few of the examples of the commitments we've made and we're continuing to carry out. We also look to continue supporting our community partners and really focusing and consistently on retaining and hiring talented employees so that they can do the work that we all rely on them and ourselves to carry out services in the community. So it's going to take a lot for us to deliver a balanced budget for our council's consideration. We have a lot of team members at the city who are working on that. A number of them are here this evening, and we'll be taking consideration all the feedback you give us, but at the end of the day, also needing to make sure it is balanced and presented to the council in that way. That means that there will likely need to be some trade-offs and some hard, conversations, but that's part of the work that we're doing. And of course, as a city, and this is true of pretty much any city, we can do anything, but we can't do everything, and especially not all at once. And so our goal will be to allocate our resources to the highest priorities while also setting realistic priorities too. Your feedback tonight is incredibly important. We do these every 2 years, which I think is an amazing asset and an opportunity for everyone, but we don't do it every year, so we're really glad to have you here and participating tonight. We will be around all night, and we'll be kind of circulating council and staff, so please, if you have a question, if you want to talk to any of us, we're here for you. And we really look forward to those conversations.
Maybe invite people to seats.
There are about 4 seats in the front and a few sprinkled if anybody wants to make their way up to the front, so just wanted to let you know as well. Brave folks who are coming front. Thank you, Dave's got one here. So just to remind everybody of sort of where the major city goals fall within the broad picture of what we do as a city. We are a full-service city, which means we provide all of the services that a city might need: police, fire, transit, homeless services in our homeless response manager, things like that. So our first obligation is to really continue providing those core services. New initiatives and one-time strategic goals often overlap with our core services, and those can require some trade-offs to make sure that we have some room and capacity to do that. Historically, a lot of our major city goals have been kind of enveloped and incorporated into our core services as well. So even if you don't see an item identified at the end of this process as a major city goal, it doesn't mean that it is going away, or the work or the efforts or the planning or the staff who've been dedicated to that go away either. It has just become part of what we consider to be the core of what we do. So housing, that stands for Housing Climate Action, DEI, things like that. And again, our major city goals should reflect our most important and strategic focus areas for the next 2 years. So in some ways, they could be seen as a strategic budget priority for the next 2 years. So the purpose of this evening is really to provide an opportunity to really build on the results of our community survey. So hopefully folks had a chance to take that survey. The stations that you see set up around here were really crafted around the results that we got from that. And of course, we want to receive public comment and also receive a comment on anything you would like us to focus on specifically related to the Measure G or local revenue measure funding. And then, of course, it's an opportunity for us to interact and engage, so I promise you won't be hearing from us much longer up here. This is just a summary of where we've been over the last several budget cycles on our major city goals. So if you look at them together, they haven't changed a whole lot. Some of them have kind of merged together or been expanded upon or slightly changed in focus, perhaps. But we wanted to make sure everybody was aware of where we have been over the last 4 budget cycles. And with that, I will hand things over to our Finance Director, Emily Jackson.
Great, good evening. Thank you to the mayor and to our city manager for the, I think, really helpful introduction. My hope tonight is to just provide additional context for the overall budget picture so that we can set realistic expectations for ourselves. As our city manager noted, with a budget our size, we can pretty much do anything, but we can't do everything. And so I wanted to start out this evening by just refocusing everybody and reminding us all about all of the different things that we need to consider when we build a budget every 2 years. Budget development is not done within a vacuum, and there are numerous things that we need to be thinking about. In addition to identification of major city goals and how to fund those, we need to make sure that we're covering our basic service needs, as Whitney noted. We have a minimal amount of debt obligations that we need to pay on an annual basis. We put ourselves in a very bad position if we don't do that. And we have long-term commitments that have been identified through various strategic plans, blueprints, and other plans and items that our city council has adopted, largely in response to interests expressed by the community over recent years. And we need to do all of this, of course, factoring in, considering broader economic conditions, availability of funding. The bulk of the city's budget is funded through tax revenue, and so we understand that just like this organization gets squeezed in tough financial times like these, all of the members of our community do as well. And so part of our job is to balance out what are the needs of the organization in order to serve the community, but also what can the community tolerate in terms of fees or taxes that are being paid to support city services. And so this is just a representative list. This is not everything, but these are kind of the big things that we need to make sure that we're focusing on every year. And the most important thing, I think, is to make sure that when we're making investments, especially in programs that are really critical to the community, that they're sustainable, and so that we're making decisions based upon what is the long-term need and making sure that we can meet that need over the coming years rather than just focusing year to year. And so one of the things that we do to ensure that is we pay a lot of attention to what's happening more generally in the economy. We look both at our local economy, state, federal, national economy, and there's a lot of things that factor into how much tax revenue, user fees, other types of revenues that the city can collect. And so I wanted to just briefly touch on some of those this evening. There are a lot of indicators out there that a recession is coming, but the general consensus at this point is that that's not going to happen. And the reason for that is that those indicators have lingered for quite a while, and typically we would have seen a recession at this point. And so despite the fact that unemployment is low, inflation is high, interest rates are high, the general consensus among economists is that we're not headed towards a recession. But what we are starting to see is that while prices continue to increase for us all personally and as an organization, revenues are starting to flatten out. So we've experienced pretty considerable revenue growth over the last several years, especially due to the passage of Measure G20 back in 2020. And Whitney talked a little bit about what that's done to the community and for our ability to support pretty significant expansion of services and capital improvements. But we're starting to see that revenues are not keeping pace with the expenditures. And I have a slide next that'll kind of show you what that imbalance is starting to look like. We're waiting at this point. We most recently presented a long-term forecast to the City Council and the community back on October 1st, and a lot has changed in the last 3 months. We are waiting to get updated information from our consultants relative to our sales tax. We're about to enter into labor negotiations with our employees, and employee compensation is one of our priorities because we recognize that the way we're able to provide helpful and highly valued services to the community is that we employ a motivated, experienced, qualified workforce in order to provide those services. In addition, our community is growing. I think we all recognize that we've added quite a few housing units in the last couple of years, and that's necessitating expansion of infrastructure and other services to support our growing community. And so Whitney noted one of the most notable of those things is addition of a 5th fire station to serve the southern end of the city. We're continuing to work with FEMA to try to obtain reimbursement for the pretty significant damages that the city sustained due to the storms back in early 2023. That is a very long and drawn-out process, and continuing to work that through with FEMA and the state in order to get that money back. But that's an uncertainty that we're dealing with, the timing of the reimbursement on that. And then more recently, of course, we've seen a change in federal administration. There's been a lot of conversation and speculation about what policy changes that administration may make, and there's expected to be pretty significant financial consequences associated with some of those items, both for us as individuals, again, within our families, but also for the organization. And so that's something that we're keeping a close eye on. And then finally, I think we all recognize and probably all know somebody who has lost a home or is otherwise displaced down in the Los Angeles area. There is a significant amount of devastation in Los Angeles at this point, and the climate change and other factors are, of course, continuing to contribute to the costs that local organizations are facing to repair and respond to the natural disasters that we've seen. And one of the things that we're tracking relative to the Los Angeles fires is the expectation that we'll see a lot of development and construction industry folks moving down south to help with the rebuilding, and paying close attention to what that might mean for the city and our ability to continue to develop housing units, build infrastructure. Expect that costs to do all those things are probably going to go up. So all of those are things that factor into the budget. The city maintains a 5-year long-term forecast, especially for the general fund. And this is a high-level look at the forecast that was most recently presented to the City Council back in October. Again, this is about 4 months out of date, and we're working to update it and hoping to get that back to council here pretty soon, because this is really helpful information. It really helps to look ahead at what's coming so that we can adjust in our day-to-day to make sure that we can mitigate against any coming deficits. And so after a number of years of pretty considerable revenue growth, revenues are getting to the point where they're continuing to grow, but they're not keeping pace with our expenditures. And so at this point, or at least 4 months ago, we were looking at a pretty modest budget deficit for our general fund. And our general fund, for those who may not pay really close attention to governmental accounting, is the fund that provides the basic services that cities provide in the state of California. It does not include services provided through enterprise funds, and in the city of San Luis Obispo, that includes things like parking, transit, water, and sewer. Those are all programs that are fully paid by the people who are using those services. But the general fund provides for general public safety, community development, public works services, and then all of the different parks and recreation services and all of the services that support the external services provided to the community. And so we're looking at a really modest deficit in the first year of the coming financial plan. Things get a little bit better for about a year, and then just due to continued growth of the community and our expectation about what that will mean for required service levels, expecting to be back in the red in the outer years. And so it's not good news, but it's good that we know that it's coming, because it gives us the opportunity to plan and prepare and mitigate so that we don't actually get to 28, 29 and find ourselves suddenly having to deal with a $2.6 million deficit. So that is really going to be key to development of the financial plan for the next 2 years. Keep pressing the wrong button. Before we move on to the technology for tonight, I thought it would be helpful to just kind of orient everybody to where the money comes from, especially for the general fund, and what we're spending it on. So like I said when I began, the bulk of the city's revenue streams are related to taxes. At this point, and for a number of years, the local revenue measure has been the single largest source of funding for the general fund, followed by just the general statewide sales tax, and then property tax, and then user fees and other sources of revenue that the city collects. So while things like property tax are really pretty stable, it takes a very long time for property taxes because of Prop 13 to respond to economic conditions, but we see a pretty immediate impact on the sales tax side of things just due to general economic conditions. And then finally, this is how we spend our money in the general fund. This is really pretty typical of cities in California. This breakdown, typically the largest portion of the general fund supports public safety programs. That's because there's not another funding source for public safety programs. And then the second largest source goes to some of our development-focused programs, community development, parks and recreation, public works and utilities, and then the rest goes to internal support services like my department, the Human Resources Department, and the City Attorney's Office that work in support of the rest of the organization, as well as the minimal debt service that we pay and their capital costs. So that's a high-level overview. Hopefully that was helpful to you all, and I will be at the fiscal sustainability booth out in the lobby. If there are any further questions, I'd be happy to chat. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. We're so happy to have you all here. My name is Greg Herman. I'm the Deputy City Manager. This is truly one of our favorite nights. It is an opportunity for us to be able to spend some time with all of you, connect, be able to answer any questions that you might have, and also provide an opportunity for you all to connect with one another. I'm happy to be a bit of a guide and go over some of the instructions that we'll all need to be aware of to make this all work. I promise it won't be very long, and we'll get to that interactive portion really shortly. So let's talk a little bit about how we're going to do that this evening. I'll start with just acclimating you to the room that we are in and that we're going to use for this process. We're in the gym right now. If you look around the gym, you can see that there are various different stations that are placed in this room. There are also stations out in the assembly room, which is the room just attached to the front of the building there. In just a few minutes, we'll invite you to be able to get up and visit those different stations. We'll have a little bit over an hour to be able to do that, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the specific feedback that you're able to provide. The stations come both from our current major city goals and the topics identified by the community as priorities via our community survey. So here's what you can expect at each of the stations when you're able to get there. First, we're going to have several staff available. These folks are the subject matter experts that day in and day out are doing work related to this individual topic. And so I really invite you to take that opportunity to say hello, introduce yourself, and also ask any questions that you may have about how we go about doing that business at the city. But the real purpose for us being there is to make sure that we are hearing from you and capturing your feedback. So if you encounter any problems, whether it be technology or otherwise, please just ask, and we're happy to provide assistance for you. One of the benefits to using the technology that we're going to use this evening is that you'll be able to see people's feedback in real time. And so it won't be just an opportunity for an individual to let us know how you feel. It'll be an opportunity for all of us as a community to see how folks collectively feel about a wide range of issues for our community. So let's talk a little bit more specifically about the technology that we're going to use. It's the same one that we used 2 years ago. It's called Slido. It's pretty user-friendly. You would use your cell phone to be able to participate and interact with this poll, but if you are not tech-savvy or you do not have a phone, it is no problem. When you get to the station, please just let one of the staff members know that. We are more than happy to take your feedback in whatever way is easiest for you. That means that we're happy to input that feedback directly at the station so it can be cataloged along with everyone else's. And we've also got good old-fashioned pencil and paper, and if that's the way that you'd like to provide that feedback, just let us know and we're happy to receive it in that way. Another note is that we do have bilingual staff available and on hand, so please let us know if you need any translation assistance. In just a second, I'm going to show you how to access Slido, but really quickly, let me just take you through a brief tutorial about how to use it once you get there. So you'll either scan the QR code that's on your welcome sheet, we'll also have it up on the screen in a moment, or you're able to go to it from your web browser. Once you get to that screen, you'll see our rooms list. That room list matches the stations that you have here. And so when you see rooms on Slido, just think stations in the room. And for our rooms, we have 2 different options, and I'll tell you a little bit about each of those. So the first option for a room is just the name of the station, like Climate Action. And when you click on that room, we'll bring you to a list of some tasks that we put together based upon what our existing plans are and what we would expect to work on as a part of that priority in the coming years. Part of the way that you can provide feedback tonight, and we'd love for you to be able to do this, is by ranking those different tasks. So we want to know from you, of those example tasks, which ones are the most important from your perspective? Which ones should be prioritized in terms of timing and funding? And all you'll need to do is just click on that task, drag it to the appropriate order. When you're done, click submit, and your input will be collected for us. If you change your mind later, you can go back into it, rearrange that ranking in any way that you like, and then again, just make sure to click send when you're done, and we'll make sure that it's submitted. This is a great opportunity. There's a lot of really broad topics that we're covering this evening, so if you're a little bit less familiar with what that topic is and would like to understand a little bit more about what our policies are and plans in place to be able to accomplish that objective, it's a great way to sort of learn a little bit more and get familiar with that. We also have an option at each of the stations that allows you to submit your own idea. And so that would be climate action, other ideas, or homelessness, other ideas. And this is totally open-ended. And so this would be if you came tonight with an idea of how we might go about accomplishing that goal, and you want to share that idea directly with us, this is an open-ended way for you to be able to do that with us directly. You would just type it into the field, press send, and then you'll see again in real time those ideas being listed. And so if you're curious about what other folks are thinking, or if you're interested in getting some ideas from others, when you get to the station, just take a look at what some of the other ideas are that folks have submitted. When you're done at a particular station with providing your feedback, and we hope you take advantage of both options, but you don't have to, what you'd want to do is click at the very top of your phone screen where it says the name of that room. You'll then be able to get a drop-down list to be able to select another station, and please move on to another station. We're really hoping that you can visit as many stations as you can during this time period. One last thing to note, if you have a great idea that you would like to share with us, we want to hear it, and if you do not feel like it fits into any one of these stations whatsoever, right over there in that corner, it says other new ideas. So if you feel like it's just not a great fit for the things that have already been identified, we want to make sure that we're cataloging, collecting that, and providing it to the council for consideration. So you're able to go to that room, either provide that input directly to us, or use the Slido application for us to be able to collect it. So that is it. We'll do that for about 1 hour. We'll then come back to this room, and then we'll begin the formal public comment portion of the evening. We do ask if you are here representing a group or a particular half of your group. It'll ensure that we're able to get through that time period efficiently. Okay, I have total confidence in all of you. I think you're prepared and ready to go. Really excited to have those conversations. Up on the screen behind me are the 2 different options. You can scan the QR code. That'll take you to that room list. The other option is you can go to Slido, that's SLIDO.com. The code that you'd want to enter is SLO25. It'll also take you there. If at any point you get lost, just click on the QR code on the screen and it'll send you right back to that room. The last thing that I want to let you know is that we used this technology last year. Or 2 years ago, we got a lot of great feedback, and we absolutely recognize that this is a lot of information. And so we are going to leave both the ranking and the open input section open for about 24 hours. And so if you'd like to take your time, think a little bit more about the feedback that you'd like to provide or do that ranking, we're going to close it at 6 p.m. The QR code will work. The website and code will work up through 6 p.m. tomorrow. Again, if you'd like to take your time to provide that feedback and would just like to spend some time going around the stations and speaking to staff, we're very happy to have that feedback in that way as well. So with that, you're fully prepared. The request will be to have everybody back in this room in just over 1 hour at 7:45. And again, if you have any questions, please just seek out a city staff person. We're very happy to meet you and talk with you a little bit more about some of the work that we do at the city. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, we're asking everyone to please return to the gym and find their seats. We'd like to get started with public comment in just about 1 minute so we can move through that and allow people to carry on with their evening. So if you could please find a seat. If you're interested in providing public comment, speaker slips are available at the front of the room. This is the time in which you'd want to grab one and turn one in. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciated the opportunity to speak with you. If you could find your seat, we'll get started with public comment. If I could ask the staff out there to just help me try and direct folks back to the main room, that would be great. For anyone who happens to be standing in the back, we've got lots of empty seats in the front, so please feel free to come forward. We're happy to give you a seat for the next portion of the agenda. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. I hope everyone enjoyed the opportunity to visit some of the stations. I hope you had a chance to potentially learn something new. maybe meet a new community member within our community or a new staff person. We really appreciate you taking the time to tell us more about what these priorities mean to you. I can tell you that that is the feedback that we use to ultimately come forward and craft work plans and tasks for the council to consider as a part of the upcoming budget. I also just want to take a quick second and thank the staff. Thank you for the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. Also, thank you for helping to bring all of this together as an opportunity for our community. A couple of quick reminders before we get started with public comment. Again, I know there's a lot of information to take in, so that polling platform will remain open and live just like you see it tonight up until 6 p.m. tomorrow. Please take the time to refine your thoughts and feedback, and we're happy to receive that input no later than 6 p.m. tomorrow. We'll move forward with the public comment portion of the evening. Speaker slips are available in front of our city clerk right here. We do ask that if you're here representing a group and you're able to consolidate your feedback into a representative, that'll allow us to be able to move through the public comment period efficiently. Also, just a couple of final reminders in terms of next steps. We really appreciated everyone being able to make it out tonight. We would love to stay in touch with you, and so I would love if you're able to go onto the city's website, sign up for our city e-notifications. It's the way in which we're able to communicate most directly with you, all of the latest updates on the city, and more opportunities for you to provide feedback and get involved in your community. And then finally, all of the information that we were able to take in from everybody tonight, we'll be compiling, providing to the city council, and they'll use that as a part of their final deliberations to determine what major city goals should be included in our 2025-2027 budget. That'll culminate at our February 8th council goal setting workshop. With that, I'm happy to turn it over to our mayor and city clerk for public comment.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Herman. That is fantastic information. And so far, we have at least 20 people who are ready to speak today on all different topics, which is really exciting. We have about 2 minutes, and I want to encourage you, if you really like what someone else was saying before you and you have the exact same comments, or relatively exact, please, we really love, the yes, your kind of the ASL applause. If you don't like it, you can also do the boo sign, but we're not going to be like clapping and wooting while wallowing, because that's quite loud and takes up a lot of time, and I want to hear what each person says. So the next part I will say is we have a civility guideline, civility code, and it's really important that we say these guidelines, so I'm going to go ahead and say them all out loud. So first, please take a moment, try to listen first. We up here at the dais will really at the table, will really make an honest effort to understand your view and your reasoning. We really want to listen to understand. We're not trying to find fault, and we want to hear the best discussion possible. Please try to respect different opinions. It's okay. We don't all agree in the same room, and that's okay. Also show courtesy, that's why we say, if you love something or you don't love something versus shouting out things. Criticize constructively. We strive to really advance solutions to community issues, and that means that we have to critically think of things. Sometimes an idea is great but needs some challenges, and other times it's not as great and we're going to have to make a different choice. Then the last part is please debate the policy, not the person. We're here to talk about issues in our community. One of the biggest things I saw already on that welcome room was the big word of community. We are all here because we love San Luis Obispo. We want to all make it better. We may want to make it better in different ways, but we're really here about the issues. How do we continue to improve our community? So I hope that you will debate the policy and not the person. So lastly, I just really want to thank everyone who's put in public comment. Our community's engagement is really bar none. So many times I go to statewide community meetings, and they just are shocked that we have these community options, whether it's the surveys or whether it's coming in person. This is really over the top compared to other communities, and I thank you all for coming out and being here. So without further ado, we'll move on to the first speaker. And actually, as per, I'm following the city clerk's amazing talents, and I'm going to read off 3 speakers. So I hope that you'll get in line and be able to help the next person go, and the next person go, etc. So first we'll have, and I just will apologize greatly. I am probably going to mispronounce someone's name, and apologize now. So first we have Jack Depew, we have Emma Saperstein, and then Nicholas DePauli. Jack, if you'd like to come up front, that'd be great.
Well, they didn't warn me I'd be going first.
You're lucky.
Thank you for hearing our comments tonight. So my name is Jack Depew, and I'd like to talk to you about tenant protections in San Luis Obispo. I moved to town about 2.5 years ago for a dream job. I have a master's degree, I have good credit, I'm a real adult, I've got an 8 to 5, it has insurance and everything. In other words, I'm very lucky. I've worked for a long time to be right where I am, and I hope to spend my life in SLO. Still, when I moved to SLO, I was houseless. I lived in my Prius, and I showered at the gym, and I worked at the library when I needed Wi-Fi outside of the office. I looked at houses that were asking for twice my monthly income in rent, that were unfinished or very old, with structural damage, with landlords and property managers who were completely unresponsive to requests to view the property. But like I said, I'm very lucky. I now live in a 3-bedroom house with 3 other young professionals. We share 1 bathroom, and we worry about reporting leaks to our landlord because too much water damage might mean we're gonna be no-fault evicted while the leak that existed before any of us moved in is repaired. In my role as basic needs coordinator at Cuesta College, I work every day with students who aren't as lucky as I am. They're younger than me, and they're just starting out. They don't know their rights or how to advocate for themselves. They're in school, and they can't work full-time to afford the absurd rental prices for rooms that are livable. Many of my students are houseless. Many more of them are in unsafe housing situations that they can't afford to leave. And I'm here tonight for them and for me to ask you to include better tenant protections in our major city goals. This will improve the health of our community, supporting other important city priorities. Please prioritize the well-being of everyone who loves SLO and makes it a wonderful place to live, whether or not they can afford a $500,000 home. Please create a rental registry, update the city health and safety requirements, prohibit no-fault evictions, and lower the rent ceiling. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. If you could just do this so we can keep going, thank you so much. All right, so Emma Saperstein, Nicholas DePauli, and then Allison Ventura.
Greetings to City Council, City leadership, and all City staff, and thank you for your hard work. This time of year, I know budget cycles are a remarkable investment of labor, and the community is grateful for your diligence and dedication during this season. I am speaking as both a paid staff member of the San Luis Obispo Museum of Art, but also as a community member who has chosen to live here for the past 10 years and continue to be committed to living, working, and raising a family here. One of the reasons I have continued to make San Luis Obispo my home is because of the witnessed investment I've seen by the city in things that are most important to me and make my life meaningful, primarily our cultural institutions and public art. I love that when I have friends and family in town, I can take them on a public art tour around SLO, spend the afternoon at the museum, stop by vital places of belonging such as Texture, and end with a program at SLO Rep. I ask that the city continue to invest in their vibrant public art program, invest in a continued partnership with SLOMA, and continue to support our partners in the arts. The arts are a vital part of the city's downtown vitality and economic development goals, and a clear partner in increased investment in diversity, equity, and inclusion work throughout the city, which has never been more important. Additionally, I would love to see more of a data-driven approach to the short-range transit plan, an active transportation plan, as I see an opportunity to tie transit to flexible density, which would alleviate our housing crisis. I also believe that the city should move up the timeline to begin the process of funding and supporting a general plan update, specifically the land use and circulation element, to facilitate more housing and a stronger plan for the future of our community, which we've heard is a great need. I would love to be able to afford a house in our community someday. I also encourage you to keep climate resilience as a major city goal. The city's continued investment in public art and our cultural arts institutions and climate resilience, transportation, and housing are of vital importance to make San Luis Obispo a more livable and inspiring place for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Nicholas DePauli, Allison Ventura, and then Jeff Spivak.
Thank you for all your work and the opportunity to comment. My name is Nicholas DePauli. I've been privileged to be a SLO resident for nearly half of my life now, and I deeply appreciate the growing potential for community here and the work that is poured into supporting its stewardship. I'm here to ask for the city's continued investment in progressive programming for environmental impact and resource management, especially considering our open spaces. The imperative of holistic fuels management has never been stronger and puts the city in a unique position to lead the way in meaningful, collaborative, safe, and cost preventative programming for dynamic stewardship of its community and resources. Especially regarding the upcoming fuels management plan, I want to encourage and advocate for resources to support the piloting of an in-house grazing program with Johnson Ranch as a prospective site. The city has already benefited from contracting acute but temporary grazing services, and from what I understand, would continue to contract more. Unfortunately, this fantastic resource has become increasingly difficult to utilize due to the limited availability of private flocks in relation to demand of their services. My work is in landscape improvement, not public speaking, and that often includes the professional assessment, prescription, and installation of in-house rotational grazing programs in systems where the ecology could benefit from them. I'm happy to make myself available for further discussion, but most importantly want to underscore the growing need and opportunity we have to invest in stewardship practices that both rebuild ecologies and resilience and also decrease dependency on environmentally destructive infrastructure and overdrawn emergency response. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Allison Ventura, and then Jeff Spivak and John Ashbaugh.
Good evening. I'm Allison Ventura, and I serve as the Center for Health Research Director at Cal Poly. I am the designated commenter for a group of advocates here to provide evidence-based support for expanding ordinances that prohibit smoking in public places to include the inside of multi-unit housing complexes. A 2023 report from the California Department of Public Health found that 53% of Californians reported being exposed to smoke in the last 2 weeks. Health research has shown that exposure to secondhand smoke can lead to short and long-term health issues among individuals of all ages. Secondhand smoke impacts both smokers and non-smokers. For example, the Surgeon General's report estimates that over 7,000 lung cancer cases and deaths are among non-smokers each year. Secondhand smoke also disproportionately impacts communities of color, children, and individuals who live in multi-unit housing. According to the CDC, most people are exposed to secondhand smoke in their homes or at work. For individuals in housing with shared walls, such as apartments and condos, this risk is increased. Around half of multi-unit housing residents who do not allow smoke in their homes still experience exposure to secondhand smoke, which can seep in from vents and cracks in walls and floors from other units. Given the risk to residents in multi-unit housing properties, policy actions are needed to ensure that they are not being exposed to secondhand smoke. A recent review of smoke-free policies in multi-unit housing found that these policies are supported by most residents. They're likely to result in cost savings for multi-unit operators and communities, and they may improve quitting rates. And in fact, a recent report from the California Department of Public Health found that almost 70% of Californians surveyed were in favor of smoke-free multi-unit housing policies. So given the strong evidence for the negative impacts of secondhand smoke and the potential benefits of these smoke-free multi-unit housing policies, I urge you to prioritize this issue in your upcoming goal-setting process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jeff Spivak, John Ashbaugh, and Maggie Payne.
Hello, my name is Jeff Spivak. I represent the Lagunistas, those guys wearing yellow shirts. We're a group of San Luis Obispo City residents who play Laguna Lake City Municipal Golf Course every Tuesday morning for at least over 10 years. I've been a SLO City resident for over 50 years. I owned a local business, Continental Motor Works, for 37 years. Many of us have worked and lived in the city for a long time. And I love living in San Luis Obispo. I love the city. I'm very proud of the city. Very proud of living here. I take a lot of pride in the downtown area, the way the city is kept up, a lot of the health and fitness and wellness that this city offers me. But we are very disappointed and ashamed of the condition of Laguna Lake Municipal Golf Course. There's a bridge that went out almost 3 years ago. It's still out. There's a clubhouse in disrepair over 2 years ago. Nothing's being done to it. The irrigation system on the course needs to be replaced. The greens are growing fungus. There's just so many things. It's just really in disrepair and neglect. Our city has one municipal golf course, and it's in such disrepair and neglect. It's really unacceptable and shameful. This is San Luis Obispo. I mean, this city should have a beautiful golf course, and the funding is there for it too. I don't know why it's taking so long to do this. We are longtime city residents, business owners, city employees. In our retirement, we want to stay healthy, and the golf course affords that to us. So please help us out with that.
Thank you so much. All right, we have John Ashbaugh, Maggie Payne, and Jordan.
We're all fighting for a position up here. Hi, members of the council and staff and members of the public. This is always such a great ritual for us to go through. I, of course, used to be in your position. I'm now just a minor member of the Cultural Heritage Committee, but I did want to echo some of the themes that are already before you here by a couple of speakers, which is what I always tended to do when I was there. I just wanted to do everything. And the slogan that we have is we can do anything, but we can't do everything. So what do? I just wanted to agree with certainly keeping housing and homelessness among our major city goals. Tenant protection should be listed as a part of that overall major city goal. We did a lot of work on that a few years ago, over 10 years ago, as you remember, to try to improve our rental housing stock. So go back to that and look at that, and let's do it. I got some suggestions for that if you want to know how to do it better, because we made some really stupid mistakes, I will admit. I want to encourage you to look to the faith community in this town as well. Our church, for example, has some space that we'd like to maybe in the long term provide some housing, not necessarily on our site, but somehow make it possible to contribute to the solution. A lot of churches have very big parking lots. There's new state legislation that makes it possible to build on these, shall we say, surplus. We don't have surplus parking, but we got something we could do, so talk to us. The losses in Los Angeles are so profound a lesson for us. The area that's been burned is roughly the size of our community, and the staggering cost of that is not just measured in dollars or in the couple of dozen lives that have been lost or the loss in property value. The loss in their cultural heritage is also tragic. We don't want that to happen here, so I'd encourage you to look at how we can improve what Mr. DePauli was talking about, the fuels management plan.
Thank
we
you so
talked about
much.
that last week, in fact, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, we have Maggie Payne, then Jordan Chestnut, then Eric Justison.
Hi, good evening. My name is Maggie Payne, and I'm the new Special Projects Coordinator at First Five San Luis Obispo County. As someone who, prior to being at First Five, worked in early childhood education for over 10 years, I would like to begin by thanking the City of San Luis Obispo for being a leader in childcare innovation and a major supporter of childcare in SLO County. The lack of affordable and quality childcare has had an ongoing and significant impact on our community and our local economy. And as we all know, the pandemic only strained a system that was already on the verge of collapse. The City of SLO's Child Care Startup Grant Program has helped to ease some of that strain and has crucial funds for new providers in SLO. Since the program began in 2022, 12 new childcare businesses have successfully been established, which opened up 140 new slots. And there are also currently 9 programs that are pending, which will provide an additional 103 slots. At First Five, we have been honored to be part of the review process for these small business startups to allocate grant funding for this program. A successful childcare system is vital to a healthy economy and should be a key focus area of a city's financial plan. Childcare is an essential area of city infrastructure that impacts not just children and families, but the community and the economy as a whole. I encourage the City of San Luis Obispo to maintain its prioritization of childcare, to continue to serve as a model for other municipalities in our county, which was exemplified by the program I previously spoke about, and by including childcare in the city's economic development and strategic plans. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Jordan Chestnut, then Eric Justison, and then Ermina Karim.
Good evening, city leaders. Thank you so much for your time and the opportunity to comment tonight. My name is Jordan, and I'm the director of the SLO County Arts Council. It was published that measured the total economic impact of the arts and culture, or found to be over 1 million to the local government. So this is the total economic impact of spending by arts and cultural organizations and their audiences. This year, we are publishing, with the support of the city of SLO and other cities in our county, the same or a similar report, which will be available in April. So I want to thank you all so much for your support on that. I want to emphasize that the arts contribute significantly to the economic and cultural vitality of SLO. As a local, I can say this from my heart. Creatives attract tourism, support local businesses, and foster a sense of place and identity. I'm also here as a renter. Many artists and creatives work as freelancers, gig workers, or small business owners, meaning their income can be inconsistent. Without secure, affordable housing, artists are forced to leave, leading to cultural stagnation and loss of creative spaces. And I've seen this firsthand, not just with price gouging and no-fault evictions and general unaffordability, but friends just leaving the area because of a cultural stagnation. When artists can afford to live and work in the city, they reinvest in the community, renting local studio space, participating in events, and supporting businesses. If you've heard of AB 812, I'm learning about that right now. It was passed in 2023 in California, and it approved the reservation of affordable units in or near cultural districts for artists. So as we look ahead at our newly developing cultural district, let us remember, for a cultural district to truly thrive, artists and creatives shape it must be able to work here.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you
very much.
so much.
Sorry, I have to cut you all off at 2 minutes. It is what it is. Eric Justison, then Marina Kareem, and then Ella Toon.
Good evening, members of the council. First, thanks for hosting this forum. As you have for many years, it's just a wonderful place to bring our ideas together, and there are many, many great ones here. I'd like to speak specifically to the topic of calming traffic on Broad Street, which has come before you in the past, and first say thank you. Our neighborhood very much appreciates your support, your attention that you've given to that corridor. We see a lot of wheels in action, and tonight, as you're, trying to place funds for the next city budget, we just ask that you keep the momentum going. You're doing so good. Don't drop the ball now. It's a very dangerous corridor, as you know, and uniting that corridor, creating a street, not a road, not a highway, would mean the world to us. There's over 1,100 residents that live on the south side and like to go to uses on the north side. So anyway, I just want to say thank you, and please keep us in mind.
Thank you so much. Marina Kareem, then Ella Toon, then Andrea McGee.
Good evening, Mayor Stewart, council members, and incredible staff. My name is Ermina Kareem. I am a resident of San Luis Obispo and currently serving as the board chair for the San Luis Obispo Museum of Art. So I want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, because I have participated in these sessions for about the last 20 years that I've lived here. And what I have seen through this goal setting process is the thoughtful shaping of a community that's resilient and dynamic and flourishing, and is with great intentionality that you all that our community takes shape. And it was with that, there are so many things I'm passionate about tonight. Please update the loose, traffic calming on Broad for sure, more parks for our families, but all of these get to the heart of our community being more livable for more people. It's with that spirit that I ask you to continue prioritizing investment in the cultural corridor and the arts in this next 2-year budget cycle. The city has long been a partner to the arts in our community, whether it's the long-standing partnership with the PAC, the more recent investments in SLO Rep and the resulting parking structure, or partnerships with organizations like SLOMA and our public art. You know that it changes the lives of people here. It has changed the life for somebody like me. When I came to San Luis Obispo 20 years ago, I didn't see a lot of people that look like me. When I'm in the space of SLOMA, stories are told and diverse perspectives are seen. And so I urge you to continue to invest in it. You already know this. It's why investing in the arts is a priority of your economic development strategic plan. And so I'm here tonight to respectfully ask you to continue to invest in our cultural corridor and the arts in this next 2-year cycle. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ella Toon, then Andrea McGee, and then Tim.
Got it caught in my earring. Hello, City Council and City staff. My name is Ella Toon, and I am a fourth-year Cal Poly student studying graphic communication. I am speaking to encourage the city to continue to prioritize investment in the arts as part of both their downtown vitality and economic development and diversity, equity, and inclusion goals for budget priority. My time in San Luis Obispo has greatly benefited from the arts and culture institutions throughout SLO, primarily the San Luis Obispo Museum of Art. At SLOMA, I found valuable community outside of campus. Mentors I will continue to depend on as I continue my career in the arts and exhibitions, installations, and community programs that challenge my textbook learning at Cal Poly and help shape my perspective on the world. SLOMA is not only a diverse and welcoming space, but also the first place where I found a thriving art community beyond the college campus. As a beautiful small town, San Luis Obispo needs a venue outside the college that fosters arts, culture, and new ideas. Museums serve as a vital part of that need. As a docent for the past 2 years, I've had the opportunity to lead school tours that interact with visitors of all ages. I've seen firsthand how the museum sparks engagement, inspires fresh ideas, and encourages deeper community connection. While giving tours, many of the elementary and middle school kids tell me that it is their first time visiting a museum or even ask what a museum is. If this community loses the ability to provide this robust art programming, the experience of the children in the community will be deeply impacted. Places like SLOMA are key third spaces for student life and the community at large. And the city's continued investment in our museums and cultural centers and public art makes San Luis Obispo a better place like me to want to continue to live and work for years to come.
Thank you so much. We have Andrea McGee, and we may have more than one Tim, so this is Tim about the smoke-free multi-unit housing. And then comes Carrie Howell.
Hello. Thank you for taking the time to listen to everyone today. It's a real testament to our community and our loving town and giving back to it by being here today. So thanks, everyone. You're awesome. I'm here today as an aquatic advocate. I'm very involved in aquatics in the community. My goal is to help aquatic programs thrive in our community. There are many people who have the same passion as well as barriers to grow our programs in aquatics here. Drowning is the second cause of death for children, right behind birth defects in our nation. Learning to swim is not just for fun, it is life-saving. Our job as adults running a city should be to make sure that children are given the chance of survival in the water. Pools are a precious resource that need to be shared, and exposure will help save so many children's lives as well as adults' lives. These children have come into this world relying on our expertise to teach them how to swim. We could be leaders in the nation and a model of how aquatics can not only save lives, but enhance them. Our beautiful city is bordered by an ocean, many lakes speckled within, as well as many numerous pools. We pride ourselves as a healthy living lifestyle sanctuary that is surrounded by such natural beauty. It is reasonable that we would take water safety as well as fun and exercise as a priority in our city. With the growth of our city, we will surely see more people in water and more people who will need access to pools and swim lessons. Many parents and aquatic lovers have been working tirelessly at creating programs for the city. The problems that we've run into are limited pool times as well as a lack in lifeguards. As soon as the high school pool was finished, it soon filled up.
Thank you so much.
Please help us. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Tim, then Carrie Howell, then William Waycott.
Good evening, city leaders, and sorry for the Tim confusion. My name is Tim, and I'm a senior public health student at Cal Poly and a resident of San Luis Obispo. I understand that there's been some discussion surrounding smoke-free multi-unit housing tonight, and tonight I'll be discussing my personal experience with the issue. So for decades, tobacco companies have targeted marginalized populations. This means that one of the groups that are most affected by secondhand smoke are individuals living in multi-unit housing. A little background about me, I'm a first-generation Chinese American, so my parents immigrated to the Bay Area when I was a year old with little money, and I've lived in multi-unit housing for my entire life. Unfortunately, several of my neighbors growing up were smokers, and the condo that my parents ended up purchasing did not have an in-unit smoking policy or really enforce any restrictions that existed. Through years of exposure, my younger sister and I developed respiratory conditions that still affect us to this day. My doctor actually recommended that we move, but obviously we were financially tied to our housing, and we were unable to. That compounded with the fact that my parents didn't speak much English, and we had a very unhelpful HOA, meant that they weren't unable to advocate for us. Now I live in San Luis Obispo, and secondhand smoke is still an ongoing problem for me as a renter. A significant amount of tenants here in SLO are Cal Poly students. And studies coming out of Cal Poly actually show that there's increasing rates of cigarette smoking among students, and there are actually more cigarette smokers than people using vapes now. Given how health and housing are very interconnected, I ask you to please consider my experience and the experience of many others like mine regarding decisions about secondhand smoke ordinances in multi-unit housing here in San Luis Obispo. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. We have Carrie Howell, then William Waycott, then Catherine Hicks.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone, for today. My name is Carrie Howell, and I'm speaking here as a resident of San Luis Obispo in the Laguna Lake neighborhood, where I've lived for the last 6 years, and where I've rented for the last 6 years. And for the past 5 years, my landlord has increased my rent every single year. So in other words, every year, me and my family are penalized for this simple, sought-after experience of stable housing. Renting in any community provides cost-saving opportunities for families managing childcare, new professionals starting out, or our aging population seeking stability. Cost-saving opportunities in renting is crucial to break poverty cycles, allowing families and others to build financial stability and plan for the future. Without rent control, stable housing becomes a penalty instead of a pathway. We need rent control to protect renters, further a robust and diverse city population, and most importantly, promote long-term stability in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have William Waycott, then Catherine Hicks, then Greg Betancourt.
Good evening. My name's Bill Waycott. I'm a resident of the city, and I'm really happy to be here, and thank you for all that you do to make the city such a special place. I'm here to talk about the open spaces that are within and without our city, surrounding this city as a green belt, and congratulate the city's view of having a green belt and an open space as a very important component to their city, or to our city. As we know, open space now has become a therapy for us. We don't get out into the open spaces enough, and this is a very important aspect to living on this planet, to be out in open space, breathing fresh air. As the president of the California Native Plant Society here in San Luis Obispo, we're doing as much as we can to promote the use of open space. We guide hikes in the city on a constant basis. We have published a 100-page book on the wildflowers of San Luis Obispo with hundreds and hundreds of pages of color photographs. So please don't forget the open space and the need to develop trails and access into this space as a place where all of our residents can flourish and become more healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Catherine Hicks, then Greg Betancourt, then Ellie Washington.
Good evening. I think I echo the sentiment of many people in this room when I say thank you all for your time this evening. I know this is no small feat to pull together, so thank you. I'm here really for a couple reasons, but specifically to say that I'm here to represent a group of the residents on the Broad Street corridor and the neighborhood of the Meadow Park and South Hills area. We want to say thank you so much for the investment in both the monetary and time that your city staff have put in to studying that area and providing the funding to update the specific plan and look at slowing traffic on Broad Street. We're very thankful that this has allowed for us to apply for grant funding and to look at financing that project. On this corridor specifically, I know our neighborhood is looking to lower speed limits, narrow travel lanes, and has been said, really take it from a highway to a residential street. We hope to see that quick build projects can be implemented in the city infrastructure projects to allow these goals to happen on a more expedited timeline. We know that this is crucial to supporting our other city goals, climate action, multimodal transportation, as well as DEI by allowing affordable, accessible transit to all residents and increasing our neighborhood livability on that corridor. So I just want to again say thank you and ask that the city continue to prioritize this project as well as the other identified Tier 1 projects in the ATP as we look to achieve our Vision Zero goals. Additionally, I want to thank the Parks and Rec staff for the investment they've made in the Laguna Lake Bike Park. I run a children's bike program here in town, and I heard nothing but just wonderful things about how thankful they all are for that facility. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We've got Greg Betancourt, then Ellie Washington, and then Damian Mavis.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Greg Betancourt. Actually live in Cayucas, but I'm a longtime advocate for open space and public recreation, outdoor recreation. The last time I spoke here, it was about 12 years ago, and you had a budding trail system and a marvelous open space network already, and you're to be congratulated on that because San Luis Obispo is pretty rare in that regard. Not very many cities put their money where their mouth is for 3 or 4 decades in a row. And 10 or 12 years ago, you all stepped up again and funded a trail system in a way that treated it as infrastructure, because that's what trails and open space are, really, is their infrastructure. And like every other kind of infrastructure, whether it's sewer treatment plants or parking garages, they need maintenance and they need investment and they need focused care. And so on the one hand, congratulations on all of that. On the other hand, I think the city trail system is at a nexus, and I think it's time to take it to the next level. And by the next level, I mean having kind of focused leadership. You have a wonderful Rangers service, you have a great Parks and Rec program, a great open space, but the folks that make that possible have multiple tasks and less ability and less time and less funds than they should have to make them what they could be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we've got Ellie Washington, and then Damian Mavis, and Eric Wiem.
Mayor Stewart, honorable council members and staff, thank you for your time tonight. Ellie Washington, SLO resident and representing the SLO Repertory Theater's Board of Directors this evening. Our board acknowledges the challenges you face in narrowing the list of worthy items for your major city goals. For at least the last 6 years, we've been appreciative that a major city goal has included the need to preserve and nurture the arts as an integral part of our region's quality of life. We want to strongly advocate continuing that support in the major city goals, and here's a few reasons why. First, the arts plays an important role as a connective tissue in building the kind of community that we want SLO to be. We need diverse stories being told to teach us about our shared humanity. We need cultural experiences connecting us to each other and offering so much more variety to our downtown than the bar scene. Second, the arts collectively delivers a significant economic impact to the community, which people have mentioned before. This is true not only in counting ticket sales, but parking, dining, drinks, shopping by the 20,000 patrons a year who currently attend shows at Slow Rep, the 120,000 a year who attend concerts at the Fremont, and the tens of thousands who go to the museum, to the Children's Museum, the History Center, and we're looking at several millions of dollars a year in that economic impact to downtown. Third, downtown's vitality is essential in SLO's identity as a great place to live, work, and play, and that reputation helps businesses attract the kind of employees we need to continue our success. And finally, the board wants me to reiterate once again how appreciative we are of your support for Slow Rep's project to build the new downtown theater complex, which we project will draw 50,000 people a year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Damian Mavis, then Eric Wiem, and then Miriam Sullivan.
Hello, greetings, council and city staff. It's great to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to comment. I wanted to voice my support to keep housing and homelessness as a major city goal. I have a development and construction company. We've been in the local community for the past 20 years. I live and work in the local community. And as a housing advocate, I wanted to kind of drill down on specific type of housing that I think should be supported. For a long time, single-family homes have continued to be lucrative and easy to build, and a lot of productions taking place. Same could be said with apartments, but sort of in the middle there has been difficult to finance, difficult to build. There's insurance regulations, et cetera. And so what I'm talking about is kind of a more modest starter home, such as townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, condos, et cetera. And that often is sort of the first rung on the housing ladder. Typically 10 years ago, 6-7 times the area median income could buy a single family home. Now it's more like 10, but for 6 or 7 times the area median income, you can buy a townhome. So I think that incentivizing and supporting that type of housing specifically is quite important, and I'd like to see that continue to be a major city goal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Eric Wiem. And then we have Miriam Sullivan and Laura Albers.
Honorable Mayor and Council, my name is Eric Wiem, speaking on behalf of the Slow Climate Coalition this evening. It's 78 degrees today on January 23rd. There's been almost no rain in the month of January, and we're witness to the most devastating wildfires in our history in January. More than ever, we call on your council to double down on its commitment to climate resilience as a major city goal. Climate resilience is the foundation for economic development, affordable housing, public health, and most importantly, public safety. Climate resilience looks like fuels management in our open space, advocacy and support of SLO County so that we might not be the next Palisades. Climate resilience looks like continued investment in your lead by example municipal climate action plan, resilience hubs, and public infrastructure. Climate resilience looks like creating a home insurance task force to understand the risks that home fire insurance creates for housing access and affordability in our city. And climate resilience looks like investment in neighborhood and household disaster preparedness, energy efficiency, and resilience. SLO Climate Coalition is a committed partner organization to support the city in these efforts, and we call on you to not only create climate resilience as a major city goal, but also to continue your partnership and support of the SLO Climate Coalition so that we can do our work in accelerating, reaching the community more broadly around disaster preparedness, energy efficiency, and other programs. So in conclusion, call on your council to not only relate to climate resilience as something that you've integrated into the city, but really hold it as a high major city goal and really double down on the commitment because it underpins the success and future of our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Miriam Sullivan, Laura Albers, and Alex Musco.
Hello, everyone. My name is Miriam Sullivan. I'm a fourth-year City and Regional Planning student at Cal Poly, and I'm here representing Smart Share Housing Solutions. As you know, we are developing the Waterman Village in partnership with the city. We're looking forward to restoring your historic adobe on Dana Street and building 20 affordable and sustainable cottages. This project fits many of the city's goals and will provide alternative housing options for our community, and we look forward to working with you to make it happen soon. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. We have Laura Albers, Alex Musco, and Dylan Davis.
Hi, thank you. My name is Laura Albers. I've been a resident of SLO for 23 years. Thank you, council and staff, for all of your efforts to hear from us and then to be reflective of the community here that you serve. I urge you tonight to keep climate action as a major city goal. I understand that climate action has been a major city goal for some years now, and I heard you say earlier tonight that climate action is now considered a core service. That's great, but it's not enough. Last year, we reached the 1.5 degrees Celsius average temperature rise threshold that indicates a dangerous reality. Direct consequences including more floods, droughts, fires, storms. We've seen this with our own eyes as we follow the horrific fires in LA. And I think every day this week, there's been a new commitment from the White House to reverse climate action policies, programs, and initiatives. So I'm glad that you consider climate action a core service. I'm super supportive of that. But with the realities of climate change today, climate action needs to stay a major city goal as well, if we want the sustainable SLO that we all have been working so hard towards, and that I am committed to continue working towards. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. All right, we have Alex Musco, Dylan Davis, and Tammy regarding the Rigetti Community Park.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alex. I'm a third-year Cal Poly student. I've been an avid mountain biker for as long as I can remember. Last spring, my friend Dylan and I started a youth mountain bike program called the SLO Riders Club. We coach weekly mountain bike lessons in the spring and the fall for kids ages 4 to 11 and of all different skill levels. Being outdoors is crucial to a child's mental and physical well-being, and riding bikes gives them a reason to want to go outside. For me and for the kids, biking can serve as an escape, a way to free the mind of stress and worry, even if it's just for an hour-long ride. The issue Dylan and I have run into is a lack of beginner-friendly terrain throughout SLO. The short trails at the Laguna Dog Park are perfect for 4 to 7-year-olds, but they can get a little boring for the bigger kids. Purpose-built, smooth trails hard to come by, and we found the older SLO riders frustrated hiking their bikes through rocky sections in Johnson Ranch. Without beginner-friendly trails, kids are less encouraged to explore the world of mountain biking, and the city of SLO would really benefit greatly from a dedicated zone for beginner mountain biking. Growing up in Montana, I had unlimited access to the outdoors and was on my bike more often than I wasn't. The community of mountain bikers in my town, Missoula, was extremely welcoming and inclusive. They organized volunteer days where riders could sign up to help clear trails of fallen trees and held fundraising events to support charity. Investment in trails in SLO would not only just inspire mountain bikers to ride a new trail, but it also come together to do good for our community. The joy of mountain biking is unmatched, and the only thing better than riding a bike is riding a bike with friends. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much. And Dylan echoes, thank you so much, Dylan. I appreciate that more than you know. We have Tammy from Rigetti Community Park, Max Palmer, and Janine Rands.
Hi, my name is Tammy Cody, and I live in the Noveno neighborhood, which is adjacent to the Rigetti Ranch neighborhood. Our neighbors are mostly children, mostly families with toddler and elementary-age children. I myself have teenagers. There are, of course, other teenagers in the neighborhood. It's a wonderful neighborhood. We love living there, but we are severely lacking a safe place to play and gather. When we moved to Noveno in 2021 from downtown SLO, I was excited about the coming park and the upcoming opportunities for my then elementary and middle schooler to have a safe place to play. Now, 4 years later, my kids are teenagers at Laguna and SLO High, and I see them and other teenagers, younger children, without access to an open space to play without crossing a major street, Orcutt on one side and Tank Farm on the other. It's a very large area of SLO not to have a park for the kids to play in and the community to gather. Many of our houses in the neighborhood have very small or no backyard, and we love our home, but this pushes children into the streets. And every day I see children playing in the streets and distracted drivers whipping around the corner, coming very close to the children. A park is not just a safe place to play, a park is not just a place to play and move our bodies, but it's also a safe place for our kids to play and our community to gather. I would love to see this bumped up in priority for the safety and mental health benefits that the rest of the families our SLO community has, even if it's just a playground and a grassy field to start. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Max Palmer and then Janine Rands.
Hello. I'd like to just second everything that Tammy said. I also live in the Noveno area and like to emphasize the importance of creating the Orchid Area Park. Alongside us, so in our neighborhood, we have 67 homes, and alongside us is Rigetti and South Morrow. Rigetti has around 370 total units. South Morrow includes 53 units, but obviously people outside of that area would also benefit from the park as well. While other neighborhoods in the area already have established parks, our community is left with unusable open space. This isn't just inconvenient, it's inequitable. Families and children and individuals in our area deserve the same opportunities for outdoor recreation, relaxation, and community gathering as others already enjoy. And the point I really want to make is just that other parks in the area have had projects done in the last 4 years to improve them, and I'm not saying that parks shouldn't be improved. And the good example is the bike park that was added to Laguna. I mean, that's an amazing project, and I want that to continue throughout the community, but we don't even have a usable park, and yet there's money being spent on upgrading areas that are already usable and people are already able to enjoy. So I'd like to emphasize that the Orchid Area Park gets placed just at the top of priority list so that we actually have an area to play. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then Janine Rands.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and the city staff. I'm pleased to be here. I'm here to urge the city to continue the climate action plan and to add in and enforce the plastics that we are all inundated with. In 2015, we passed the polystyrene ordinance. In 2018, we passed the plastic straw ordinance. We added on the plastic water or beverage bottle ordinance. Anything under 18 ounces shouldn't be used on city property. The state passed AB 1276. It's called Single-Use Plastic Utensils and Condiments. It became enforceable January 1, 2020. Most of these ordinances are not being enforced, and I'm concerned why. Because you pass an ordinance and they're ignored. I believe that most businesses don't even know about them or they ignore them. Businesses buy boxes of plastic cutlery and straws, put them on their counters, and anybody can come in and take 1 or 50. They're dropped out on the streets, they're littered, they should be disposed, and if they are, they're taken to the landfill because none of this stuff is recyclable. For pennies more, compostable products can be used and rather purchased from a number of sources statewide. City needs to amend the polystyrene ordinance. Many cities in the state of California have amended their ordinances to ban plastic, or rather foam meat trays. Bonds in San Francisco has banned it for 4 or 5 years now. I urge us to revisit this ordinance and
Thank you,
add
Janine.
in all of these things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I first just want to thank everyone who spoke. There's so much good information that was shared today and so many great opinions that I'm looking forward to talking about with my fellow council members. I really want to thank all of you for coming out today. As we continue to listen to this feedback, not just today, but also up until 6 p.m. tomorrow, the survey will be open and we'll continue to see what people are putting into that dotocracy, as we call it. It's really, truly the ability to participate in a democracy that we have, and this is something that we have literally every day right here in San Luis Obispo, and I'm really proud to be part of this community and proud to be part of this council with my fellow council members. Please remember that we will have on February 8th our major city priorities meeting. We'll be back at City Hall, not here, and we welcome you to come and join us. We'll be talking about a lot of what we've already gathered so far from emails and voicemails and surveys and public comment and passing in the grocery store and having those conversations as to what that work plan will look like. After the February date, then we will come back together in April, and our staff will bring back the draft plan, the draft budget with draft work plans, with draft priorities to be able to continue what we discussed today. So I just want to give you kind of just a little bit of the lay of the land of how that all will go. And at this point, if my fellow council members have anything they want to say, then I want to give you the opportunity. Anything? Go right ahead.
No? Hi, well, thank you everyone for coming. I'm just inspired by all of you and your passion and love for the city and willingness to come together like this. I'm just very moved by the whole thing, and I really appreciate the positive nature of all of the testimony this evening. It was just wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Marks. So without further ado, it is 8:39, and community still is the biggest, largest word on the welcome room. So that gives me hope. I hope we continue to work together as a community, and I will see you all, if you wish to, February 4th at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers at City Hall, 990 Palm Street, or maybe you'll be on YouTube and enjoy this conversation a little bit more. Thank you very much, and good night.